first leg of our adventure took us across the Tennessee-North Carolina border through the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. This view down into Gatlinburg was our last look at Tennessee for a few days. Along the way, we encountered a couple of impressive bull elk. They were squaring off when we first spotted them, but decided grazing was a better idea by the time I got my camera ready. My luck in the casino wasn't that good as I lost a couple $100, but my luck changed on the ride to the hotel as the friendly officer decided not to give me a speeding ticket. The second day of our trip was filled with a lot of driving. Tamara spent most of that time drawing cool little scenes of all the interesting places we saw along the way, like the House Cat Museum and the gem mines of Franklin, North Carolina, and all the antique trains we saw in Clayton, Georgia near Tallulah Falls. Along the way, we saw the world's largest school bus graveyard. We also spotted a flying possum that lost a battle with the Kenworth. The ride through Atlanta was relatively painless for a change, except of course for that possum. You know you're getting close to South Georgia when you start passing the numerous billboards advertising for the Clothing Carnival in Unadilla, Georgia. I tell you, the drive through South Georgia seems longer every time I make the trip, but we finally reached Florida and our first destination, the Spirit of the Swanee Music Park, a unique live music venue and campground located on the banks of the Swanee River. The park also features the Magnolia Disc Golf Course. It's a top caliber 18-hole course with tight wooded fairways lined with old growth live oaks, tall skinny pines, and the namesake magnolia trees. Accuracy from the tee is paramount and it's something that plagues me from time to time. I've managed to shoot a 54 here a time or two, but more often than not I'm finishing up with a 56 or a 57. But this particular hole turned out a birdie for me on this day. They put on a great Christmas show during the holidays, adding colorful lights all over the park and disc golf course. The decorations around the park are unique as well. I'm a bit fond of this one being a fan of the Beatles, but every direction you look will have something different and interesting to see. As you explore the park, you'll find plaques and T signs that feature classic song lyrics from artists ranging from the Grateful Dead to Elvis. We wrapped up our outing at the Spirit of the Swanee Park and loaded up to finish the last hour of the trip, the 50-mile run south to Chiefland, Florida. We stayed in a hotel in Chiefland, and my kindest words about the hotel would be, it's economical and it's located in close proximity to shopping and places to eat. I'm not sure if this would be a positive or negative comment, but I saw where one guest said, its roaches are smaller than those in other hotels. I think Tamara's spirit died a little after reading that comment. All I could do was laugh and excitedly look forward to the morning. Our third day began with a 45-minute drive to one of our favorite places, Shired Island. Shired Island is located along the coast of Dixie County, Florida, between the small towns of Horseshoe Beach and Swanee. You won't find a store or gas station within 15 miles, but what you will find is a peaceful coastal setting full of the natural Florida, and it's part of the Lower Swanee National Wildlife Refuge. The Shired Island boating access features a nice boat ramp, a new fishing pier and dock, trail access, and a bathroom. The Shired Island beach access features a long fishing pier, covered shelters, RV and tent camping locations, and another bathroom. The area is popular with recreational boaters, but most of the watercraft in the area are most likely filled with fishermen. Many fishermen also work from the abundant shoreline access and piers. Most anglers target the numerous speckled trout, which stack up in the tidal creeks and inlets. And everyone loves to find redfish tailing in the shallows, Redfish will hammer a clouser minnow all day long and test your drag repeatedly. My father and I have shared many fine days fishing out of Shire Island. Sometimes excellent, sometimes so-so, but always special. I left my rods at home for this trip so Tamara and I could enjoy exploring. I won't lie, several times I found myself missing my rods and waders, especially as I watched the boats and kayaks making their way out to all the fishing holes that I know are great fishing. Having the high tide makes getting out of the inlet much easier, but you still have to know where the channel is. You can see this captain knows the trail to get through the skinny spots and out to the open waters. We journeyed to Perry, Florida during the middle of the day to enjoy a round of golf and a picnic at the Bulldog Disc Golf Course. This is a small 9-hole course with grass tee pads and temporary baskets. The fairways are mostly open and flow between beautiful old growth live oak trees. It's not the best course ever, but it's worth a visit if you're in the area. We finished up our golf outing and hustled back to Shire Island to catch the sunset on the beach. Tamara wasted little time as she hit the trail to Beachcomb while I got the cameras ready and launched the drone. The sunset was still an hour away, so I joined Tamara for a short walk along the beach as the tide started coming in. I was worried that the sunset would be hampered by the lack of clouds, but I must admit that the clear skies were beautiful and everyone was enjoying the afternoon. As luck would have it, we had just enough clouds to help make a great sunset. I had the drone in the air and my Sony a7 III on a tripod, and the sunset didn't disappoint. I took way too many pictures to share them all, but here's some of the highlights of this fine sunset. After such a fine sunset, I considered this shot of the almost full moon to be a huge bonus. We finished out our evening at a place that still had a working cigarette machine in it. Now that's a classy joint. We set our sights on visiting new places for our fourth day, so we decided to try the Crystal River area. We looked at the map and the neatest sounding place was Fort Island Gulf Beach State Park, so we departed Chiefland and made the hour or so drive south to Crystal River. This is Fort Island Gulf Beach State Park. Fort Island Gulf Beach State Park sounded neat, but it wasn't. Most of the beach access areas were closed due to high levels of bacteria in the ocean. Even this wide-tailed crackle was taking notice. These black skimmers were much more active, but only on the beach and not in the ocean. One of the more interesting views in the area was the Crystal River Nuclear Power Plant. I spent a few minutes flying the drone and a few minutes snapping bird pictures. Tamara wandered around a bit, but we both came to the same conclusion. This location was a bust. So we broke out Google Maps and found a good-looking destination about an hour away. What we found was Floral Park, located 40 miles east in Floral City, Florida. It's a wonderful multi-use park that features a great disc golf course. I began my round of disc golf and I thought Tamara was exploring. Turns out she was letting her travel gnome enjoy some of the park amenities. The disc golf course was very nice and covered a lot of the park. The holes weaved in and out of the huge live oak trees, making this course scenic as well as challenging. I was happy to finish even par, and I'd love to visit this course again someday. Floral Park was fun, but we began thinking about where we needed to be to enjoy the sunset. After much debate, we decided to just go back to Shired Island since we knew we'd have a nice view there. Although this little hermit crab probably wished we'd stayed away. Tamara began her sunset stroll along the beach looking for old artifacts and neat shells. I tell you what, she always finds old Native American pottery almost everywhere we go. Some of her finds are truly amazing. I just love watching her walk around with her eyes glued to the ground. She could do it for days on end. Of course, she turns up plenty of interesting seashells as well. Some of the shells look brand new, while it's easy to tell that others have been around for a very long time. The weather for our trip couldn't have been much better. The days were warm and pleasant, and the skies were mostly clear and gorgeous. Shired Island wasn't very busy this afternoon. I saw a few fishermen and a few boats, but Tamara and I felt like we had the place to ourselves. She made the most of her beachcombing time, and I got the cameras rolling for what had to be one of the most beautiful sunsets I've ever seen. Wow, they just don't get any better than that. We had big plans for our last full day in Florida. In fact, it was the only day we really planned out. Our plan was to visit St. Marks, Florida and the St. Marks Lighthouse. We made good time as we drove the 120-mile trip from Chiefland to St. Marks, arriving around 9:30 a.m., which is about the same time that the lighthouse grounds were opening up. The St. Marks Lighthouse was built in 1830 and first lighted that same year. It's been rebuilt on several occasions due to beach erosion, hurricanes, and the Civil War. It's registered as a National Historic Site. I found out that drones are not allowed on the grounds primarily because the lighthouse is located within the St. Marks National Wildlife Refuge. The Wildlife Refuge provides prime nesting locations for many migratory birds, including bald eagles. The lightkeeper's quarters in the lower lighthouse are open for tours, but going up into the tower to the lantern room is not permitted. Tamara took the short tour and really loved hearing the stories that the staff told about the history of the lighthouse. The lighthouse stands 88 feet tall, and you have to climb 85 stairs around the spiraling staircase to reach the top. In October 2013, ownership of the St. Marks Lighthouse was officially transferred from the U.S. Coast Guard to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. It remains to this day as a highlight of the historical coastal region of North Florida. We finished touring the lighthouse and then turned our sights towards the local wildlife. These brown pelicans were happy to perch on the old dock piers, while these white pelicans were on the prowl over the Gulf. Bald eagles were abundant all over the refuge, and each pair had a nest they were nurturing. The alligators began sunning themselves around noon, and it seemed like every exposed beach was occupied by at least one gator. They laid motionless in the sun while I snapped picture after picture. Most of them were about 6 to 7 foot long, however this gator was closer to a 9-footer. My favorite picture from the St. Marks National Wildlife Refuge was of this osprey as it enjoyed its hard-earned lunch. We had so much fun during our visit to St. Mark's. I highly recommend a visit if you're in the North Florida area. We journeyed about 8 miles across Appalachia Bay to a place called Shell Point Beach, a neat little beach community across the St. Mark's River from the lighthouse. The beach had long been privately owned but was acquired by the Wakulla County Department of Parks and Recreation in 1995, and it has been public ever since. There was just enough beach for Tamara to do her thing, although she later reported that there wasn't too much to find in the waves of Shell Point Beach, but the views were fantastic.
It's true that lighthouses and wild alligators are a fun and exciting way to spend a beautiful day, but beachcombing has been the highlight of my time in Florida. It's like a treasure hunt. Sometimes you strike out, but other times you strike gold. You just never know. I've missed many a beautiful sunset just because I couldn't peel my eyes off the sand. It's a good thing Mike is always out there getting the perfect pictures so I can enjoy them once the beachcombing is done.
Shell Point Beach was a great location and it offered us some hope for another great sunset, but it was time for me to sneak off to a disc golf course. A quick search brought up Tom Brown Park as a highly rated course, and after playing it I must agree. Located on a large beautiful multi-use park, the course is well manicured with all the bells and whistles a top-ranked course should have. I didn't play it well, shot a 4 over, but it's well worth the visit if you're in the area. The skies had turned gray and a few sprinkles were falling by the time we returned to Shell Point Beach. A storm was rolling in for the evening as the thunder echoed off in the distance. So as the boats returned from a day on Appalachia Bay, we set back to enjoy our last Florida sunset before the return to Tennessee. We had such a great time for a trip that was off the cuff. A little bit of cards in Cherokee, some disc golfing in Florida, some beach combing, and a bit of Animal Kingdom, and a few very beautiful sunsets.